That'll be the private chat. That'll be the private chat. So yes, keep it cool. Here we are. What is this? Chris Berger, thanks for not letting me live my fast but poor typing down, JT. Oh, there we go.
I thought that was actually Chris. I thought that was intentional. I was thinking, what sort of product is that? Very good. But yeah, what a week, everybody! What a week to be a Doctor Who fan, isn't it? Isn't it fabulous?
Could that be the wind of change that's wafting?
It's not a wind of change. It's a great big fart of change coming through, isn't it? It's just amazing.
Is it actually confirmed now? Because I said I heard the BBC hadn't confirmed or denied. Yeah. Is it actually confirmed?
No.
No, not actually.
And that speaks volumes, doesn't it? For the BBC to not confirm or deny this particular piece of information, which has actually come from a newspaper that is usually on the button, as we all know.
Yeah.
I'm happy with it. Well, no, the Doctor Who information has been great. I mean, in 2005, they were the first on the night to release the fact that Eccleston was quitting.
Yeah, they were.
Were they going back that far? I had no idea. I know they've got a great track record over the last 4 or 5 years, and particularly since this regime came in. I mean, I say to people quite regularly, they had the news that Bradley Walsh was going to be a companion nearly a full year before the BBC wheeled them out at the press launch. It was extraordinary. So who knows? But yes, that's the whisper. The rumor is that Jodie Whittaker has quit. That's a very tabloid word, isn't it, Barnaby? Quit. You never hear anybody in day-to-day life ever say the word quit. It's only ever in a tabloid newspaper. But
got the sack is the other one.
Yes. Yeah. Whereas we all know you can't sack anybody now. You have to go through God knows how many tribunals and whatever else. But yes, Jodie Whittaker is departing the role of the 13th Doctor. And yes, there is a link over on the Type 40 page and all the social media where you can buy party poppers in bulk. If the more you order, the cheaper the postage and packing actually is. Yes, this was the news. So yeah, I mean, I spoke to you about it last week, didn't I, Sarah? But I'm sure we'll be talking about it some more. But Ian, how do you feel about this generally? I mean, obviously, Jodie's only part of the problem, but a smiley mega geek?
Look, I feel a bit sorry for her, really, because she was chucked in the deep end and she wasn't given good material, and she wasn't very good at being a doctor either. So, I feel a bit sorry for her. But I am glad she's leaving. But we still have the two main problems that are there, which is Chibnall and the BBC. So if we can overcome them, then I'll be really happy,
Yeah, I think that's more than fair. Barnaby, an actor's life. Jobs come and jobs go. I mean, would this have been time anyway? And obviously, we're not going to get too controversial with this. But how did you feel when you heard this news? Were you surprised?
Not really, because I mean, it's always been sort of 3 seasons and a couple of specials or something like that, apart from Tennant. But so it was really something that was going to happen anyway, and agents sort of like recommend that, and you've had this run now, so it's probably time you left. But again, it's just like that. Nothing's really going to change unless the writing sort of changed, and annoyingly, the writing has been somewhat not as good as it has been.
Generous of you, Barnaby.
So, thank you. And so, which does happen. I like to take play devil's advocate sometimes. So unless the writing sort of like changes or something, it's not really going to make much of a difference. And I think Jodie did try. I think she certainly did try.
Oh God, yeah.
A bit more research maybe would have had to have been done, I think, on her part. I think maybe if she'd researched a bit more into the character.
A bit more.
Yeah. So again, you're only really as good as the director or the writer, really. So
yeah, it's true. That is true.
If you remember, a few weeks before, and I don't know if I think we talked about this actually, JT, come to think of it, a few weeks before, there'd been these big rumours that Jodie's agent was trying to basically to airlift her out of the show, because this sinking show with sinking ratings and sinking popularity. Now, obviously, you think to yourself, well, that's big talk. How can something from behind closed doors like that get out into a public arena? But things do leak out, don't they? Particularly from unhappy workplaces. What are your instincts about all of this?
Who, me?
Yeah.
My instincts are numerous. As the space bookers will know. I mean, one thing is, as I said just there, I find it very, very interesting that this time round there is no official BBC announcement when there should be, and this is over a week later. and it's not come. It's not there. And we know they are back filming. We know they are doing 8 episodes. But what has happened through this whole week is that nobody, Chibnall, Wenger, Moore, Whittaker's agents, fandom, the press, everybody has seen how this news has been received, and the news has been received incredibly well. Now that's going to have an added effect on other people. Like if you are Jodie Whittaker's agent right now, and you are seeing the daily amounts of press that in the British press that this story is getting, you're going to think they hate my client, and to an extent you're going to be right, because it's only a small amount of Doctor Who fans that don't at this point. And I think there is more to this story, and personally what I am expecting to hear is that they're going to take it off the air.
I hope so.
It's only fair to say that there is a contingency of people out there who are happy with this era, who have enjoyed it all. And obviously, we feel for you. You could be about to lose your Doctor or whatever else, and that's never nice. So none of this is ever said in mean spirits, but except it is a very interesting time, probably the most interesting time in a long time to be a Doctor Who fan. And it's a bit of a shame. I think it's a shame, Barnaby, that a lot of the time with Doctor Who, over the last few years, the most interesting things about it have been the stuff that's been going on off screen.
Yeah, the behind the scenes kind of things.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah. I still can't forgive them for how they treated Bradley Walsh, because I love Bradley Walsh, and that in the final episode, Revolution, where he left, did he actually even do anything? He was just sort of in the background. And he just seemed so like. He just seemed like dead behind the eyes. He just wanted to go.
He's got a new show now.
Bradley, no.
He's got several new shows. He's got all the stuff that ITV are throwing at him, which is 5 or 6 different formats. Then he's got the BBC courting him to carry on with the blankety blank nonsense.
Yep. And
another project on top of that, I hear, for the BBC. And he's one of the few artists at the moment that are able to balance both.
Yeah.
Company.
The Sky one where he travels with his son in a
huge hit.
Huge
hit for him on that. Huge hit. Huge hit. Well, for the time slot and for ITV at the time, yeah. I mean, but good for him, and he's obviously seen the writing was on the wall from the end of their first series, whenever that was. Now I can't really remember, but Jodie McWilliams is saying that she expected it to stay a little bit longer. I mean, I would imagine a lot of people did, but
he was the best thing about it, though. He was. He was the best thing about it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Bradley's a very accomplished actor. I mean, he's done a lot in our television in our country. He did UK Law and Order.
He did.
UK, and he did Corrie for a long time as well.
And
really,
my mum went to see The Chase live. They did 3 shows in a day. My mum and my sister told me after she saw it, she said she was so impressed by him. He was so professional. Even when they weren't doing a take, he was with the audience. He was making them laugh. He was, you know what I mean? And she had more respect for him after seeing him live.
Doesn't surprise me.
Well, that's an interesting point, isn't it? Because actors in this thing at the moment, because the show isn't doing well, it's not being received, it's been rejected by a lot of fans, and I don't care what fans say, because there's a hell of a lot of this week's been an interesting week for fandom. And I hope we can come back to that, Dan, and talk about that, because it's been enlightening. But if you're an actor in that show, you may be thinking, gotta get out of the contracts.
I think that's definitely true. And I think that what you're talking about in fandom, there's people out there who, and I've always maintained this, the people out there that have claimed that they love this era of the show, but they don't actually like the show at all. It's more a signifier, some signal that they approve of the ideology behind it rather than the show itself. Because a lot of those people out there who said they were on board with this forever are very excited about the fact that she's going as well. And they can't hide that glee. You can tell it on social media. I'm interested in what Charlotte says here. Charlotte, she goes, I agree she's had some bad writing, but some of my favourite Doctor moments are non-verbal and purely the power of the actor. Ties into what we've said before.
Right.
A great Doctor Who actor, Barnaby, they can get in tune, any material, lift even poor material, can't they? We've seen that right the way through Doctor Who.
Oh, completely. I mean, Bradley Walsh is the exemplar there, because even with the stuff he's got, he's still really, really watchable. And even with the writing and some of the worst ones, he's the best thing about it, just through his his acting and just who he is.
Yeah,
and that is so watchable.
I was saying to
Dan
a couple of days ago, I was watching this TV show. I don't know if it was out before, but I was watching Netflix, and it had Joe Martin in it. It's a show called Back to Life, and that's the star from the Lodger. You know, the girlfriend of what's his name? Yeah, so she's in it. She's the main star. But the one thing I realized after watching, because I watched the whole of the season. Wasn't many, it was only like I think 4 or 6 episodes. After watching that, I realized Joe Martin is completely and utterly wrong for the Doctor after watching it. So, you know, that's the thing, you see. If they put Joe Martin up next, then I'm definitely still not going to watch.
I really don't believe there is going to be a next. You know, and I keep thinking, a mate of mine said to me a while ago, you know, well, what would you do then? He was being rather flippant. Well, what would you do with the show now? And I said, well,
what would you do?
where it stands right now, I would take it off the air after these 8 episodes, quietly change the production crew, get rid of Chibnall, get rid of Whittaker, get rid of everybody, bring a producer and script editor back into it that know the show and love the show. And I'd say to them, right, you've got 2-hour specials for November 2023. And if they are popular, with a popular Doctor, male lead, good characterization, good stories, and if those 2 episodes are popular, we'll go for a series in 2024, because they've put themselves into this whole virtue signaling tick box problem now that, you know, I mean, talking about fans, one of the things I found interesting this week is that a small element of fandom who kept shouting at us over the last 3 weeks that we were any sort of ist, bigot, phobe, whatever. Yeah. After this thing what happened last week, we're all coming back saying, oh no, they can't replace her with a man because that's going to take us back and the cause is going to be there. And there you go. You have just actually said and proved to us that it was done for a politically correct choice. And so, and a lot of the fans, Dan, you're right, have come out and said, oh no, we can't have another man. We can't have another man. It's got to be another woman. We've got to keep this. And I just thought, oh, here we go. You know,
isn't Wanker saying that though? What's his name? Wanker? What's his name?
Wanker.
Isn't he saying that?
I haven't.
Sorry, is it Wanker? No, what is it?
Yeah. Wanker. Ian. That's near enough. It's near enough. You know what you mean. Vanessa Law asked here, Simon's not here. I miss him already. We all miss Simon Horton. The good news is Simon may materialise later on. He's on a top secret mission for the Time Agency. So it depends if that vortex manipulator, I think it's jammed. So he could be somewhere around 1854 at the moment. But hopefully he'll sort of bounce around. Eventually he'll end up in here with us, and John Steed's here with a quote. I think we can all get behind this. Change and not a moment too soon. Nicely dropped. That's a mic drop moment, I think, there, Barnaby, isn't it?
Oh, totally. I actually have an idea about what they should do if they did cancel it and just stop Doctor Who there. Give Paul maybe 3 specials, each like an hour long or something. Get people back into it again.
Yeah,
I like that. Well, lots of people, you can't, I don't think as a fandom, we can leave the Paul McGann situation. We can't leave it rest for very, very much longer. We always go back to this. What about a series with McGann? What about some specials with McGann?
I don't.
I've been sent, I can't remember who sent me this, but I've got this little video. Check this out. This is a fan-made video of an imaginary title sequence that was dropped online, and the everybody sort of went from being sort of, I think this was over Christmas and New Year, from being a bit sort of oh god, another special coming up, and then you see this and you remember how good Doctor Who could be. Check it.
Did people actually thought that was from the BBC? Did people think that was from the BBC?
A couple of people did, yeah. But I was all for that until I saw the end caption saying written by Maxine Alderton. Up until that point, I was completely on board. But just seeing McGann's face there, though, Barnaby.
Oh, so good. I got shivers kind of watching it. Yeah,
got the shivers, got the chills.
Oh, got the chills. I'm more of a fan of the David Arnold theme, and someone did a version of his theme, which was Chimes of Midnight, which is one of my favorite Paul McGann stories. And full on chills in that one.
I just love to see the classic logo again.
Yeah,
I miss
it's very nice, isn't it? Problem being here, says the Spacebook, just remind the Jodie fans that the show is always about change, like they've been gleefully telling us for the last 3 years. Well said. And yes, I have Paul McGann full series. Do it from Daniel Leach. See, all these comments, every time it gets mentioned, lots of people just immediately go, "Oh, Paul McGann, I'd be so down for that." And Sfila Betkin, the rabbi, our friend the rabbi here, is probably gearing up for his own show a little later on. Don't miss that. The rabbi from another planet on Sfila Betkin's channel. It's good, the McGann fam titles, but needs more oomph. I don't know. It depends on the tone of the show that would go with it, doesn't it? But I know what you mean. It's a bit more
dark.
And talking of more oomph, Vanessa, I can hear it now. I can hear the distant crackling from the vortex manipulator, which can mean only one thing. He's here. It's Captain Simon Horton. Welcome back.
Hey.
Hello, Simon. And a happy new year to you. You can stop talking about me now. Thank you very much.
Somebody give that man a comb.
It's lovely to be back with you again, folks. I'm so sorry I was late, but it's lovely to be back with you again. I'm sorry about that. I did get a little bit stuck in the vortex for a while there. I was stuck out in the nether regions of the.
Well, listen, Simon. Next time you're stuck out in the nether regions in the time vortex, if you're passing the 60s, grab us some Dalek toys, will you? Thank you.
I'll do my best.
You forgot to reverse the polarity. That's why you.
That's where I went wrong. I got my etheric beam locator confused.
You'd never get an etheric beam locator confused. Who are you kidding? You'd never do that.
That's the power of McGann. He just pulled Simon in.
That's what it is. That's exactly what it was.
We have a message here from Chris Persia. He says the show can officially start.
Just forget about the rest of us. I
told you that they love you. I told you. Yeah, but you're just in time, because I can ask you, what are your thoughts on this new, well, I don't know what you call it, news now. It's been a couple of weeks, but on the new signing for Doctor Who, John Bishop.
God's sakes.
I wasn't asking you. I was asking Simon, John Bishop's time. Do you like John Bishop? Do you like John Bishop? Do you see why they've got him into Doctor Who? What do you think?
No, and no. I'm sorry to be negative within 2 minutes of appearing. Cannot stand John Bishop. Think it's a huge mistake. It smacks of desperation in exactly the same way that Bonnie Langford's being cast in season 23 was admitted desperation to try and rescue ratings. So, they're sitting there thinking, what can we do? Put a name in. That's what we need to do. We need to put a name in. Bradley's going. We've got to bring somebody else in now to replace Bradley as a name. And why John Bishop would do this, because his star is on the ascendancy, why he'd do this and risk jeopardizing a career that's going very well seems really odd to me. He's literally jumping on ship at the point that everybody else is jumping off it.
JD wants a word. Go on, JD.
Simon, do you think it could be anything to do with the fact that this fits in very nicely to his tour at the end of the year?
Maybe.
Oh, do you know what, JT? I wasn't even aware.
Yeah,
he falls well below my radar.
You know what, guys? I know the reason why they did this. Chibnall's never been original, right? So he goes back and looks at the old Doctor Who's and he copies them. Now, do you remember the other comedian that joined the Doctor in the TARDIS?
Matt Lucas?
And no, the other
Catherine
one.
Catherine
Tate. Yes. So she was just as big as, I guess, Bishop. So they're thinking, oh, well, they did that in the past. Let's do that again. Maybe they'll bring in some viewers.
Do you know?
I don't have a problem. I mean, you know, being brutally honest, as I say, for people that love John Bishop, brilliant. I'm sure they're pleased and they think it's good casting. I don't have a problem with it at all personally, but mainly that's because I'm not watching the show anymore, and so I don't have to be subjected to John Bishop. But really, is it going to drag me back to the show? 100%. No, not
I'll tell you what, I must admit, on a couple of occasions, the guy's stand-up has made me laugh. I've never been a big fan of his. They try to jam him into every hole, whether it fits or not. That's not meant to sound as dirty as it does. Sorry, John, you know what I mean. But they do. He's done chat shows. He's done game shows. He's done those shows where they go on the roam around the country in a transit van.
Varieties.
All that stuff. Yeah, he's done stuff before the watershed, post watershed. You name it. This guy will seemingly try anything in the same way that I suppose you could say Bradley Walsh would try anything. But there's something that isn't quite sticking with him. I understand that he is a sellout comedian. He's no Peter Kay, but he's a standout comedian. I saw this picture and I see a craggy-faced man. It's a lived-in face, and I see something behind the eyes here. All I can see, Sarah, is this is going to regenerate that conversation. I wish he was playing the Doctor. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. You're right there, Dan. Because,
you know what?
Because you look at that photo and he immediately looks more doctorish than bless her Jodie does.
Well, he's 55, Simon.
He was on Graham Norton's show with a couple of Americans, and the Americans couldn't understand a word he was saying. So he's going to have to really tone down his accent. For
I think this is why they're doing it, because if you've got John Bishop with his strong Liverpool accent and Jodie,
we're screwed.
Do you know what makes me laugh about this whole thing? Is Chibnall himself, because he used to, back in the day, really slag off JNT about stunt casting. And all he's done is stunt casting. He's a hypocrite. Chris, you are a hypocrite.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure he likes you too.
He's only got two. He's only got two tricks in the bag. The stunt casting is one, and the
destruction of a franchise is the other.
The destruction of the law is the other. Yeah, to break it down bit by bit. I mean, when you look, I look at this face, and I see a potential Doctor here who's even kind of almost.
I do like him. I do like him.
He is a Doctor Who fan. He's been a Doctor.
Let's just remind also our fellow fans across Whodom. There have been two Liverpudlians in Doctor Who before the Doctor, Tom Baker and Paul McGann, and of course Liz Sladen was from Liverpool, so he might not play it with that role. I know his character is allegedly from Liverpool, but I think he might play it a little bit different.
He's toned it down.
Yeah. Look to him. Take the money and run, kid.
Like I say, I genuinely don't have a problem with them going in the show at all. I see why they've done it. I get why they've done it. They need to do it. Let's be perfectly honest. They do need to do something. And so please don't misunderstand. I'm absolutely cool with it. I don't care that they cast him. But he's not my cup of tea. He wouldn't be my solution to the problems that the show sees itself in. But good luck to him.
They're obviously hoping, or Chibnall will obviously be hoping, that there's some of the Bishop fans, because he does have a fan base, like we are of this show. He does have a fan base, that they will come to the show
and JT
and push it up a bit more. But I can't see it actually.
And JT, interestingly, that was exactly identical reasoning that JNT used with 23 when he cast Bonnie Langford. That was the exact reasoning. He knew that she had a fan base, and so
Bonnie Langford even then.
Hey, excuse me, I love Bonnie. I'm not having a I woke up drunk out of a drunken stage at about 4 o'clock in the morning, dancing with Bonnie Langford in Earl's Court back in the day. She was a star.
She's a lovely person. She's a lovely person.
She was brilliant.
Bonnie went to my drama school, so I think she's amazing. Whatever she is.
Wow, come on! I like that era anyway of Doctor Who, so I didn't like her. And I
love Bonnie Langford. But when I see John Bishop joining this, all I see now, I could understand why he went with Bradley Walsh 2 or 3 years ago, with so much that was untested. But if he was really confident about his vision for I'm not going to say his take on the Doctor. We know he hasn't actually got one. We're going to drop that pretense. But if he was confident in his vision of the show and the grasp that he has on the storytelling and how to clash characters together and to engage the audience, then he wouldn't be leaning into another character, because it's the Bradley Walsh hole that he's trying to fill. You can tell. So he's gone to grab somebody who is of a similar appeal and import his fan base. So it's like, oh, John Bishop, I like him. I'll watch him in Doctor Who then. And it'll be a short-term thing. And to be honest, it's only going to need to be short-term. These 8 episodes are the end. I think it's a very cynical move. I feel a little bit sorry for John Bishop that he's been snarled up in this. So I hope they're paying you well, John. And I think he'll only be around for those 8, and then it'll be bye-bye.
Unless I'm mistaken, I don't think he's in all 8 episodes anyway, you see, the way I read it.
Well, it depends on the production schedule, because he does. I mean, it's all up in the air because he does have his tour, but that could be put back depending on what's going on with the current situation as well. So it's all up there. Because I read in one article he's signed for the 8, then another he's signed for 4.
That's what I'd heard, JT. I'd heard 4 episodes. That's
we don't, but to be honest, you and I, Simon, we don't care, do we, man? We're not going to watch it anyway.
I've never heard of John Bishop.
A lot of people, nobody outside the UK is going to have heard of John Bishop.
Well, and that's the other reason an actor does this now, because look what it did for Billy, look what it did for Freema, look what it did for Catherine, and also for.
Yeah, but the difference, JT, the difference then was the show was absolutely on a high, and anybody that went in it was going to do well. But now it literally is kind of a bit of a sinking ship. It just seems an odd decision on John Bishop's agent's part to recommend him for this.
But he wasn't doing anything. Let's face it.
He's locked down. But maybe that's the point. Maybe he is in the right tier he's in the same tier as the production company when he signed on for this. I don't know.
Well, it's all different for them, because we know that the soaps of which Doctor Who is under a certain banner, but certain productions are out there right now as we speak filming.
Yeah, they are. She looked miserable. See that picture of her? She looked really miserable on the beach. She was like that.
Oh.
I'm going.
Time will tell.
Well, we have that. There are whispers as well this week that the order has been cut. I mean, whether this could actually be in the wake of the latest lockdown, that now that 8 episodes has been quashed to 6. There's only going to be 6 episodes in this run. That's unconfirmed at the moment, but those are the present whispers.
Well, as I've said before, Dan, that would be 6 too many.
Let's just keep it down to 1.
Well, not even that. Just cut it, get rid of them, reboot. Happy
campers. Let's so we'll be watching this as it unfolds. I think it'll be quite a while until we get any, certainly before we get a replacement's name. I think it will be quite a while until Chris Chibnall admits to anything at all. He's never going to admit to being anywhere near that iceberg, is he? That's the BBC. That's Chris Chibnall. But I think news will be very, very slow to arrive. It's a good job we've got other things to talk about and lots more fun to have. I think. Let's have a look in the chat and see what
happy things. We've got lots more happy things to talk about.
We have. Yes, Chris Post said Catherine was well known enough before her stint on Doctor Who.
Absolutely, and she was well loved as well. But that helped the show, Chris, didn't it? Because we saw an increase in slightly viewing figures as her fans came to see it as well. And
when she was cast, I thought it was a terrible idea. But then when I started watching the episodes, I thought she was brilliant.
People did sign it, and
totally agree. I was the same. I remember when she was cast, I said, that's it, I'm done with Doctor Who because I can't stand Catherine Tate. And I have to honest, seriously, I love Donna now. I really do.
It's similar story with me. Garbage has an idea here. Frankie Boyle? Get Frankie Boyle.
No.
And, fortunately, somebody in the chat snuffed that one out for us. He says, well,
can you imagine?
There'll be a lot of people who won't even know who Bernard Manning is, so we'll leave it there.
You're better off.
It's actually, I was saying this to a mate of mine the other day in a conversation. What society actually needs right now are your Joan Rivers, your Bernard Manning, your Alf Garnett. We need them, right? We are desperate in society for off-the-wall characters right now because nobody's allowed to write about them, play about them, try and emulate them, quote them. It's bloody ridiculous.
You are allowed to you'll just get bombarded.
I'm not so sure if you're allowed, with police knocking on the door every 20 minutes from what you can see on social media. You're saying, excuse me, have you got more than 3 people in there? Because we're coming in for a cuppa. Oh, please.
Yeah, Garbage throwing Cliff Richard's hat in the ring here. Cliff Richard, who's just turned 8.
Why not?
Barnaby's in.
No, I'm up there.
Well, would Cliff Richard work for the BBC?
Why for sound, mate? Why for sound?
Probably.
I stand with Cliff on that one. Good for Cliff.
Having so much fun. I forgot to put the little live icon on in the corner. Yes, we do have one more thing to talk about, because we have now.
Are we live? I thought we can't edit this. Sorry, I thought I didn't realize it was going out live.
Yeah, we can't edit this.
Sorry, Dan.
We've got. Yes, well, we're going to talk a little bit now, because consolidated ratings are in for that New Year's Day special. So yes, here's how it looked in the end for Revolution.
Beautifully presented there. It could have been a little bit more in centre, I think, for the actual figures, but well done, Dan. Beautifully presented.
Yes, this is the all channels. The top 15 shows for that week. So, yeah, Doctor Who in the finish. This is the consolidated figure. Yeah. So, obviously, this is not the overnights. This is the consolidated figure. Now, obviously, Doctor Who has done a little better here than it did last year, but it is still the lowest rated special of any kind in Doctor Who's history. It still represents a significant drop, and this is also including as well, because these are the consolidated figures, those first 7 days. Remember that this episode was up on iPlayer as well before it was shown on BBC One. Yeah. So a lot of people think this is a good result for Doctor Who, and to be fair, it is just inside the top 10 there, which you can't really argue with that.
Well, I can.
Well, there was a but coming, but yeah, this, to me, what this underlines is the fact that it is still, that New Year's Day is still, it's not Christmas Day, but it remains one of the biggest TV watching days of the year. Everybody is at home, even more so because of lockdown, and the TV is practically always on, even if it's on in the background. But more to the point, I think it also underlines the fact that they wisely led with Captain Jack, played by John Barrowman here in the advertising. So on one hand, I don't want to try and take anything away from anybody who enjoyed this, or from the fact that people probably worked very hard on this special. But I don't see this as any cause for celebration at all. I think it shows to me that people, as I'm always saying, everybody, that all you people out there, the general British public, still in their heart of hearts love Doctor Who. They want Doctor Who to be good. People want to watch Doctor Who, and they remember when it was good. And if you give them a flash of something that reminds them of why they liked it, they'll go, oh, okay, and they'll turn up and watch. But what they felt afterwards, and more to the point, if there was another episode had come a week later on the 8th of January, would they have been there a week later? Obviously, we'll never know. I suspect the answer is in the negative. Anybody have any thoughts on those ratings while we wrap up?
Can I ask a question? How long was the Jodie Doctor in jail for?
It was like 19 years or something, wasn't it?
I just want to ask that question. Sorry, mate. I know I'm stepping on something, but if she was in there for a long time, how comes her hair didn't grow?
Well, for all we know, it did. We're going to review the episode in a few weeks' time on the Type 40 Doctor Who podcast. We're going to get round to that in due course and talk about the actual episode itself, because I haven't seen it yet. I think I know that plenty of people out there haven't seen it, and the DVD and Blu-ray is out in a couple of weeks. But purely from a ratings point of view, is this more than you thought, Simon? Are you impressed by this?
It absolutely is. It is more than I thought, because I genuinely thought pretty much everybody had jumped ship after the Timeless Children. So it is more than I thought. I have to confess, I was surprised by the results. But, of course, they've got to be taken in context, and we have got to remember that we were in lockdown. We are in lockdown. And so it was something of a captive audience. To be perfectly honest, I am just horrified that the figures across the board are as low as they are for all broadcasters, really, because of the fact we are all in lockdown. And we've all had a Christmas where we've all pretty much should have been sitting there just doing nothing but watching television. And yet the figures are still very, very low.
Yeah, I know, because there's other channels. There's Netflix, there's Amazon.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And that's why.
But the biggest thing about it, though, is that the broadcasters, i.e. the BBC, ITV, Channel 4, are not producing things that the public wants to see. So they are going to...
That's exactly it, JT. So this is my point, is the fact that the ratings for the main state channels should be higher than that, simply because they shouldn't all be deserting to Amazon and Netflix and the like. And as you say, JT, they're clearly not producing stuff that people want to watch. But the fact still remains that the figure for Revolution of the Daleks is higher than I expected. Let's be honest again, some of that undoubtedly is because of Captain Jack. There's no two ways about that at all. So it would be very interesting to see how the episode would have fared. A, had Captain Jack not been in it, and B, had we not been in lockdown. Well, that would have been the figure that would have been interesting.
Right. Well, can I come in there? Let's have a heated debate here, viewers. Come on.
No.
I mean, let's look at the ratings here. The overnights are always banged on about in Doctor Who fans now as not being important. I would always come back to somebody and say, yes, they are, because it shows how many bums and seats you've got on the night that you've invested in the show and produced it. Now, the overnights were 4.69 million. 4.69. Now, that's the figure I'd rather go with. And do you know why? Because as Dan said, this thing was dropped on iPlayer before screening. And as Doctor Who fans, we have always gone back and watched the episode. In our day, we would do it via a VHS recording, which was never taken into account when ratings are, because the technology wasn't there, and quite frankly, nobody thought of it. But now, Doctor Who fans, immediately the thing is finished live, we'll go back and watch it. Now, each time a Doctor Who fan watches the iPlayer broadcast, it's a figure. Now, that's why it's pushed up to the 6, because a lot of us have gone back. Nobody can prove that that's the great British public watching that show. And when you go and look at what's happened just before the announcement or the leak that she's going, everybody was going on. I mean, I've seen in the last week various Doctor Who fans going, "Oh, I say fans. That's a great result, 6 million, but I've watched it 15 times. Oh, I've watched it 10. Oh, I've watched it 12. That's the reason."
Sarah.
Also, don't forget BBC iPlayer will also count. Is it 2 minutes as a view?
Yes. Yeah, which is disgraceful. I mean, that's
true. I thought
doesn't work.
Yeah,
I thought it was something like between 7 and 10.
No, it was. It changed a year or so ago, about 18 months.
They knew Doctor Who was that's why they changed it.
Let's ask the question: why are they changing those statistical information? It's to make themselves look good in a market which is dying.
That's so they can cheat, of course.
I would ask Barnaby. Did you watch this on New Year's Day, Barnaby?
I did, and
you scum! You rebel scum!
It was good because I'd already had quite a few drinks by then, so I was like, "Oh, just shit out of wash. Why not? It can't be that bad."
You can't leave it there.
We're gonna pull you. We're gonna drag you onto the podcast to talk about.
I would definitely be up for a rant. I'd love to go on the podcast.
Brilliant.
Is the only Barnaby who watched it on the panel? Did you watch it?
I've never watched it, but I will watch it when Dan wants me to watch it.
Do I dare, Barnaby? Okay, if you're not going to give a review for holding on to that, do we dare at least get a mark out of 10, for example?
He was pretty drunk. He can't remember it.
It's like, why are there 2 Jodies on the stream? I would give it a 4. Personally,
okay.
Oh, you're being generous, apparently.
Very mostly for John Barrowman.
Do you know what gets me about this? I was
wondering. Hold on a sec. I was just wondering if you'd decided, if you'd made a point of watching it. Were you to give it a day in court, or was it just the fact that it was on?
I didn't want to go and watch it, but my housemate really wanted to watch it just because he wanted to catch up. So I thought, all right, so it's on. I'll sit down and watch it. And we both sort of take the piss out of it as it goes on, and that's quite fun. So it's sort of like a mystery science theatre while we're watching it. We just sort of like start talking. Like, Tosin, act more, Tosin.
I think that's I think that's sad. Because if Barnaby's doing that, how many other Doctor Who fans are doing it?
I think it's true the general public too, JT. I think the general public feel the same way. I don't think the general public
aren't watching. Nobody can prove the general public are watching.
I think a percentage of them more watch on a public holiday because a similar thing to can't be asked turning the telly over, or they're waiting for whatever's on afterwards. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves is on after this nonsense. It's not worth changing over. Just pass us another pint.
Well, can you bring up the consolidated ratings again for that day, Dan? Can you bring that slide back up, please?
Yes, of course.
Let's have a look at this. So let's go into this a bit more and put a few more arguments in, because a lot of people are saying that look how many people tuned in for Happy New Year Live on BBC.
They were locked in though. You're gonna watch it anyway.
But look at how many people looked at that and said, "Yeah, we'll watch that," because they're locked in, because there was nothing else on. Now that says an awful lot to me, because look at that. The BBC News at 6 comes in second. Doctor Who was beat by Corrie, The Masked Singer, the BBC News again, A Perfect Planet. I mean, these consolidated, you can't really go on these sort of things because
they'll see it as a success.
But again, I would call them hypocritical. Thanks, Dan. Because what happens now, of course, is that the woman who what was Jodie Whittaker's first one?
Fell to Earth.
Yeah.
Fell to Earth. Right. Well, that was celebrated the day after, wasn't it? And then everybody came out saying, "Oh, it's a great success."
Not from me.
Yes. And that was an overnight figure. It's always celebrated when it suits them. It's never celebrated the truth. So
but you know what, right? JT feels the need to justify this. I don't give a crap. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't care less how much it made. I'm just not going to be watching it.
The fact still remains. You go back to something like, as we said previously, before Christmas. You go back to Voyage of the Damned, which got how many? So it's still half. It's still half the figure. And so it's clearly not doing as well as the David Tennant era was.
Malcolm and Wise, 23 million, mate.
It's still continuing the downward trend, isn't it? Because when I saw the consolidated with everything I've just said, bearing in mind, and then went back to the 4.6 it got on the overnight, I thought, well, that's the market there. You've only got 4 million people watching this version of the show. And
I remember from Capaldi with 9 and 8 million.
Yeah,
and people were saying, "Oh, Capaldi's rubbish. He's got to go. The show's going down."
Yeah, you're right, Sarah.
So the only reason why it was going down was because of all that stupid feminine agenda. That's why it was going down. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Peter. Peter was brilliant as the Doctor. Let's face it.
Yeah, we're all agreed on that.
Stupid stories and stupid agendas sticking in it. That's why people were jumping ship, because this was not their Doctor. This was not Doctor Who. And then they introduced Jodie, and it got worse. And that's that.
The BBC have been mismanaging it for a while, and as broadcasting changes, as the landscape of TV changes, as the way that we pick and choose, that word, Simon, choice. People who tell us that we should absolutely support the license fee, they keep telling you that choice isn't important, don't they? But I think choice is the key word going forward, isn't it?
Absolutely, and I've been having online arguments with people over Christmas and New Year about this, and there are certain people out there who picked me up very, very vociferously, certain Doctor Who alumni who picked me up quite vociferously over this one. And all I'm saying through all of this is, I feel that we should all be given the choice as to whether we want to sign up to the BBC or whether we don't. And to be perfectly honest, if I was given the choice, I don't doubt that my household would sign up to the BBC. We would subscribe. But it's the fact that we're given no choice whatsoever in that. That's all I want is choice. And I probably will choose and decide to join the BBC. But please, give me the choice. Treat me with some respect, that I've got the brains to work out whether I want it or not.
Yeah. And that's a growing movement. That's a growing movement, Simon, in Britain, as you know. It's not about anything else apart from the fact we would like the choice. We have the choice with Sky, we have the choice with Netflix, we have the choice with
all it comes down to.
Prime. It's about the choice, and for years the BBC have had that monopoly. I'm sure
it will change. It will change.
Yeah, I've been pulled up a few times. I've been pulled up a few times by people who see me posting negative things about the BBC on social media and say, "Oh, you know, they turned Doctor Who into a woman, and now you hate the BBC."
Yeah,
I don't hate the BBC, but I've chosen. As a customer, I'm out. I don't want to be a customer of theirs anymore. I've started to resent the BBC for their attitude after the fact, for the way that I'm still being hounded by the people from TV License and by Capita, who are the BBC under another name. That my resentment is coming after the fact. I'm going to watch that story unfold as well.
But if the truth be known, I want the BBC to survive, but not in its current state. I believe in the BBC.
I'd love to be like Simon. I'd love to look in the newspaper or the Radio Times or on some program guide and think, wow, BBC One is now a channel that could really benefit me. I want to be watching that stuff in prime time on the evening. I would find that entertaining, and there's a good broad selection of content there. Yeah, I will pay my 15 quid a month or whatever I'm in. I would love to be able to do that again, because I do believe in having a BBC, but the choice is absolutely essential.